Okay.
Okay, cool. Let's see if we can see our friends here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to another episode of Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. I'm so excited to introduce Katy Jo Holton to you guys. But for those of you who are not used to this show, let me just give you a brief idea of what you're going to receive here. You're going to get some stories and understanding about the healing process, in addition to tools that you can actively integrate right when you jump off of this live, so that you can actually start to put some of these tools in your toolbox and make them part of your day-to-day. That's my goal here. So I'm really excited to welcome Katy Jo Holton. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure. Katy Jo is an author, shamanic healer, and the founder of Holton Healing Arts Shaman School, which I'm planning on diving into next year, by the way. Her psychic skills guide you through connecting to your inner knowing so you can heal your past, live with trust, and understand how to use your spiritual gifts to help others and reach your highest potential. Through her work, you'll learn the necessary skills to fully embody the powerful healer you are and move through the fears of stepping into your highest purpose. Because isn't that a little bit scary for all of us? So thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. Katy and I were, we were in sacred medicine together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've done so many books with Laura DeFranco at this point. I'm like, I think it was sacred medicine, right? So we got to connect and our energy just aligned so beautifully. And I was so excited to just connect even further with her. So is there anything else that I missed that you'd like to share about you and your background and what brought you to this point?
No, not really, other than just thanking you for naming that. When we first met, it was through also an interview, and it was brief, and I appreciate trusting that you felt the connection, because I also did.
Yeah.
You know how you have those little glimpses, right? Of like,
I know. And it's so nice when it's another energy practitioner and you can say like, oh, the energy just feels really aligned. Like I was just magnetically drawn to you. And they're like, yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. I totally get it. So can you help us understand? I know one of the things that you were saying about becoming a powerful healer is to, I guess, tap into like the magic sauce, right? For becoming a powerful healer. So what does that mean? I always tell people like, stop getting lost in the human sauce. So that's so funny that you use that terminology, because I'm like, oh, that's so funny. So go ahead, share that with us if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, what I notice from my journey, and also watching other people on their journey of embodying, their highest level healer in themselves, is so often what happens is we start to look for the tool. We think if we find the right tool, or if we could just get the right ritual or the right technique, then we would have the thing. And actually, what your magic or your medicine is, the thing that you offer that's uniquely yours, that helps other people heal, is kind of this combination of, like, I think of it as your body of spiritual knowledge. So the, spiritual information that you've looked into and gained that helps you understand and frame things, mixed with your own personal experience. So you get kind of this cross section of the two, and that meeting point in the middle is where you actually help heal people from.
Yeah. It's like that powerful, potent point for sure. How do people know when they get there?
Mm-hmm. There isn't getting.
Exactly.
And yeah, so a couple of helpful measures, I think, are, one, being sure to share your actual experience with a thing. So oftentimes we are excited about the information that we gain, and we just relay the information, but that's actually not the medicine. The medicine is how we've mixed our life and our experience with the information to gain our wisdom, right? So it's just information if we're not also speaking or sharing from the way things have happened in our life, even just sharing stories or how you've processed something or what you've been through. And usually it feels a little uncomfortable. So that's kind of another measure is
Mhm.
if you feel really comfortable sharing something, then that's great. I mean, there's the one level of like kind of moving through the self-doubt and confidence. And then there's another level of kind of being uncomfortable because you'll continue to get more and more vulnerable, which means that your medicine will be more and more potent. So if you're slightly uncomfortable sharing something, that's probably where the magic sauce is.
Yes, I totally agree with you. It's like you're drawn to it, but you're a little uncomfortable for sure. And I'm also so happy that you talked about this concept of like, you're going to share it, but you're just sharing it as information versus sharing it as a mix with your own energy field and who you are and how you operate. Because that was a huge lesson for me early on in my journey. It's like taking that time to really integrate it in my being before I get all excited and shout it from the rooftops, because I get excited. We all get excited and we learn things. We're like, oh, this is such a good gem. I want to tell everybody about it. But it's also about walking the walk and really allowing yourself to feel into it, because that's how we internalize it more deeply as well. And then when we're transmitting it, they're getting this frequency behind it and not just data, right?
Oh, so good. Yes.
Yeah. So I really love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So yeah, so you brought up this concept of, right, that discomfort of kind of sharing and putting yourself out there. So for those people who fear stepping onto this path or turning towards deeper into themselves, right, towards those deeper layers and understanding themselves, what would you say to them?
Pick it up, like take it one piece at a time. So if you feel fear or overwhelm, of what specifically? Because it's easy to just be like, I'm overwhelmed. And that's actually not even a feeling. It's not an emotion.
Correct. Yes.
Right? So what is underneath that? If you're feeling afraid, specifically afraid of what? And try to get clear on that. So we can apply the proper medicine, for ourselves.
Yeah.
And also there are always going to be haters.
I know.
So like, it doesn't go away. What happens actually isn't that there is no longer conflict, but that you get better at trusting your ability to navigate it. So I keep that in mind because it's easy to get triggered by every little disgruntled person that disagrees with what you're doing. Yeah. And just remembering that they're on a different path than you, and they're not necessarily wrong, but neither are you.
Yeah, it's just a call to greater and greater alignment with our soul's purpose and with our heart space and with the core of who we are. Like every time that comes up, it's an opportunity to return to that, so that we have that clarity and that higher knowledge and that higher vision moving forward. And I agree, that's one of the things that I've learned. The more and more that I get into this work, the deeper and deeper I go, the more and more resilient I become, like, because stuff comes your way and it's just like, oh, wow, like that didn't bother me at all. Whereas a year ago, I would have been a hot mess.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, like just to witness your own unfolding is such a beautiful process. I mean, if you can view yourself through those eyes, like if you were raising a child or even a pet and you start to see their progress and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for them and I'm so proud of them and they're kind of coming into their own, like being able to view yourself in the same way, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So
like,
beautiful.
Get at me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So what would you say the healer's biggest fear is?
Usually this kind of goes back to feeling into, what's underneath your overwhelm or your fear. And again, there's usually layers. So we often have sort of the more surface, not shallow, but like surface level fears, like somebody will judge me, or I'll lose my friends, or I'll fail, all of these things. But what is underneath all of those, like our biggest fear is that we might actually just be really good at this. Yeah. And what would that be like if we actually were to say yes to that, right? And usually we spend a lot of time focused on the things that we want to fix. And what many of us haven't given ourselves the opportunity, and what life is teaching us to do is to feel into what would it be like to actually do the thing that I'm supposed to do, that I'm here to do.
Mm.
What would it be like to actually not be in the drama,
I know. Or create the drama in our minds.
Yeah.
Because it's a distraction. It's just a distraction from what it is we're meant to do. It's funny because I was just listening to a video this morning from one of my mentors, and she was praying, and she was kind of inviting us into prayer with her. And it was beautiful because she was talking about, instead of praying, with even a gratitude for what you have, or even looking for something that you don't have, but that you desire, just like, it's like praying into your power, getting yourself into a space of power before you pray. So that basically what you're doing is you're saying, okay, like I'm in this space of power, which means that I am willing and able to allow you to come in and just like take over the direction that I'm meant to go during each day. And she's like, in each moment throughout the day, invite that in. When you feel, not even when you feel stuck, but just like when you desire to step into your power, do that, and then call in your team to amplify it, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes me, it's, we have a lot of different words for it, but it's like calling in your higher self before you have an action or make a decision, or hit send on an email or a post or any of these things. Right. And what a lot of us are in the process of, unlearning is having a distrust for the higher self, and having, the ego or the mind control instead. So oftentimes we have access to all of that, and it's right there, and we usually push it away because it, of course, the way it works is it doesn't make any sense. You're like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And we want to make sense of everything, man. We do. And it's about trusting. It's like, okay, that next time you're trying to make sense of things, just put your hands on your heart, take a deep breath, call on your higher self, right? And just trust that you can take an action forward to where you're being guided safely.
Yeah. It turns out that it makes more sense when we try to make sense of things after than trying to make sense of them before.
Yeah. And I would say, there are some people out there who feel a little wounded in this area. Like they've had trauma, or they've had experience in their lives where they feel like they're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, because they don't fully feel safe. So what would you say is helpful for people to kind of reclaim their power after they feel they've been hurt?
Yeah. The first step here is being able to see if you're in a pattern with yourself, and where you are with that. So for some of us with maybe trauma that has happened, perhaps we're carrying sweet, compassionate people, and we haven't actually given ourselves the opportunity to be pissed, to be angry. And so the avoidance is that, and then that kind of perpetuates the pattern. For others, maybe we've been stuck in the anger and the frustration. And so if you were there, then your next step is often compassion, and understanding. Ultimately, the fastest way to exit that pattern or heal that hurt is to exit the game of blame altogether.
Yeah.
Which is also one of those counterintuitive things where it's like, well, if I don't blame them, does that mean I'm to blame? But actually, no one's to blame. And so when we can take a step back and see the situation from all sides, and see the situation from the teaching that is meant for you, and from where you are on your path and where that is leading, we begin to also see why things happen and how we were in agreement with it. And where the counterintuitive place comes in again is it's like, oh, but does that mean I did something wrong? But that actually is where we understand our power to create.
I love that. I really love that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So from there, I mean, it's not something that's necessarily you can rush or that should be rushed, but often from there, this is where you can learn to see where other people are at and forgiveness, but also forgiveness for ourselves, and move from that place of knowing that you create versus blaming other people for what's happened to you or what is happening to you or why you can't or why it's not safe.
Yeah, that. I remember that when I first had sepsis, and my therapist at the time dropped the seed. I had not been fully awakened. I'd always been very spiritual, but I hadn't really reached the pinnacle of my awakening yet. And she had suggested, she said, "Oh, well, what do you think the spiritual reason is for this?" And I was like, what? Like, I was like clearly in defensive mode and not awakened. And I was just like, what are you talking? I didn't do this to myself. Like, I didn't decide to get sepsis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so grateful that she was able to plant that seed, right? And to start opening my awareness to be able to really understand how this really life-threatening, I guess reportedly awful thing that happened to me was truly the best gift that I've experienced to date.
Yeah.
And it's when we can take off that mask of defensive-ness and just really allow ourselves to be vulnerable. So that's what I find is, especially coming out of Halloween, right? Where everybody was wearing masks, kind of removing any area where you're not being fully yourself and authentic. So many people hide from this, even in their relationships, because they go to speak about their opinion and they're so afraid of conflict, or they're so afraid of rejection, or, and ultimately it's what you said, they're afraid of getting closer to themselves and stepping into their power and creating something giant, maybe, that they're being guided to by source, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, one of the places that I had seen this, that I wrote a little bit about in Sacred Medicine and teach also about, is with having sexual abuse as a young person. And then, and again, there is that first stage. So there is like noticing when you're in a danger, a situation that you actually just need to say no to and get out of.
Yeah.
Right. So disclaimer for that,
Yes.
there is such thing as abusive relationships, and your first step is to get out of it. Right. And then you can go back and do the inner work. There was a place for a long time where it was very subconscious, the way that it had affected me. And so I had this little subtle layer running through my system to try to keep myself safe all the time. Right. Like, people can take advantage of you if you're too open. And better to stay sort of hidden so that can't happen. And when I actually began to look back on this and work through the stages of the healing for it, it was like, oh my God, like that was like, yes, that was painful. And like, I guess that was like wrong. That shouldn't happen. But also that happened allowed me to see the gifts that I have.
Right.
And also projected me on to the path of doing this work, which is what I'm here to do. And it was like, thank God for that man. Because that's what allowed me to wake up and see this whole other side of everything. And also, Lord knows that's not that's got to be a hard path to take, to be the teacher from the other side.
I know.
So, I can honor that and be grateful for the experience,
Yeah, I always, my clients laugh because on one of my lives or in one of my classes, we were talking about, when those shitheads come into your life, call them shift heads, not shitheads, because they're actually shifting you. And they've taken on this role in this lifetime to maybe be the bad guy, or to do the dirty work and the hard stuff that, they might need to be painted in that way so that you can continue to ascend. So let's be grateful to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love that. And it's funny because it actually brings me to this story. When I first graduated from college and I was enrolled in the seminary to become a minister, and I had a job at the Presbyterian Church in Pittsburgh, where I grew up. And so I was going to be working at that church and going to the seminary. And I was all excited about it. That's where I was drawn. And then it dawned on me when I sat down and looked at like the practical. My husband and husband now, I wasn't married to him then, had been together for about 5 years at that point. And so I knew there was a future for us. And when we put our schedules side by side, he was in New York. There's no way that we ever would have seen each other, just because I was working nights and he was working weekends, and during the day I'd have school. And so it just wouldn't work out. And it was too important for me to be with him. Obviously, we've been together for 25 years, so that worked out.
Right.
But anyway, it was interesting to me that I was like naturally called to that in a different way. And then I kind of took a little detour, and I was a therapist for 20 years. Still am, but not in a traditional sense. And I'm grateful for that path, because I learned so much about being a therapist. I learned about what works and what doesn't work. I learned about what gets you to the deepest level of healing and what is just a Band-Aid approach, but it's so cool how spirit brings us back to that initial spark. That initial spark for me was, yes, maybe a more structured path, than I'm on now, which thank God, because I'm so feminine energy focused that I like just kind of doing things unstructured. But it is so beautiful. And that's what I want people to realize too, is like, if it's meant to be yours, it's going to continue to come back around and show itself to you. So yes, you want to start taking that action, but don't feel like there's ever a missed opportunity either, because there's never a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very, very great. Very great advice and relevant. I relate to that on the similar story. Like I have the subtle, I always joke that like spirit feels like, it's just like, hey, do this, like, go on, go ahead. This like little gremlin.
Gremlin.
Do it. But I was always interested. I had an interest and a passion of teaching about the shamanic path and about doing this work. And I had a huge permission block around sharing any of it, because it was like, oh my God, like I thought everything that I thought if I taught anything, it had to be like 100% completely from my own thinking. Like I couldn't use anything that possibly came from anyone else or anywhere else. And I realized that ideas come through you. They're not actually from people. People don't own them. They come through individuals. But also that was related to the earlier trauma that was like, oh, things can be taken. And I don't want to be this person that did the bad thing to me that took. So I'm not going to take from anybody else. But that was the teaching, is actually like, and I had so many opportunities to keep coming back around to it, where it's like, you want to do the thing? And I was like, nope, not ready for that. I'm gonna go this way. Thanks.
Really
and
like
so,
Yeah. And I also think, what you're saying too, is that even, let's say that it's somebody else's quote unquote idea, which technically isn't their, like they don't have ownership of it. Right. But let's say it was theirs. You're still bringing that forward and expressing that through your unique energy and your unique way, with your unique vibration and form. And so it's funny, because I recently signed up for a few courses with just smaller courses with a colleague of mine. And it's funny because I was like, yeah, I mean, I know a lot of these strategies, like I know a lot of these tools, but I wanted to receive it from her.
Yeah.
Like I knew this stuff. That wasn't the point. I said, I don't really care. I just want to be in your energy. Like,
right.
I want to receive it from your vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that just allows a greater level of intimacy with other people too.
Yeah.
Because you're not so focused on the content, like what you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we take in information, not just from, we take in information from our body. And so there's a way that, and actually jumping in here, I can't remember, one of the questions you ask is something along the lines of, what's like the number one thing for healing, or do you remember your?
Oh yeah. The number one thing that you feel is necessary for the deepest, most profound and enduring healing.
Yes. It's other people.
Yeah.
is totally other people and community. And
Mm.
being able to, and that's just such a great example of like, oh, I know that I know it's not about the tool, but I know there's something in this container, in this energy for me, and vice versa, of course. And we can do a lot of the work on our own. We can like read about things and study guides, and like maybe like 90% of it we probably can do on our own. I mean, it usually takes longer and a lot more effort.
Yeah.
And also we can't do it 100% on our own. That's the reason that there's other people, you know.
The reason we decided to incarnate as human beings, right? Like, and we're
Right.
be collaborating with each other. I love that answer so much. It gives me the chills. And I wonder if some people are struggling with that answer too, because it's funny. This is also like my old therapist wounding, right? Like almost everybody who would come to me when I was a therapist was like, I hate people. People suck. They annoy the shit out of me. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. I hear you. I'm not going to validate that. However, and so, yeah, I think some people, particularly who are kind of stuck in their shadows or not, or it's like in their minds, are not able to kind of open up and see that, do kind of look at it as these people are pissing me off and they're getting in my way. You know? And so I really love that because it touches on so many different concepts of community, you know, collaborating and amplifying our energy together. You know, they who meditate together, you know, really rise up in frequency faster.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it's also, it's like a tuning fork. We're like tuning ourselves by connecting with these other energy fields and allowing ourselves to continue kind of spiraling upwards. Instead of spiraling downwards by being stuck in people suck. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I love that analogy of the tuning fork. Yeah, that rings really true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you understand the power of this work, but also there's a point where we can learn and know and realize all these things. And it also, you know, like the last piece, that like last 10% is being witnessed, sharing it. And sometimes it can work, but like social media isn't always the proper container. It's usually not the proper container for that.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I mean, there's posts about that all the time, right? Like, don't think that just because you see somebody it's super happy and, you know, all in their vibe on social media doesn't mean that their lives are exactly the same way. So it's really being able to tune in. And that's really getting to know the nuances of your own energy. And is that part of what you teach in Shaman School?
Tuning in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuning in and, being able to access the most powerful or most potent place for transformation when you're assisting somebody else in the process of knowing what that feels like for yourself.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So can you tell us anything else about Shaman School or about what's coming up for you? So if people want to get in touch with you, they can hang out with Katy Jo.
Sure. I am definitely a fly by the seat of my pants person. So this is part of this is part of the marriage of like the masculine and the feminine and allowing them to work together. So you know, there's like just floating along, and then there's like being so rigid that you're not allowing yourself to be in flow. But well, specifically about Shaman School and your question around, you know, what I teach, and this is one of the the internal benefits, of course, you know, if you're interested in getting into this path and discovering yourself and learning how to become a more potent, powerful healer, then that's sort of the external thing. You know, you can start a business, you can grow your business, all these things. The internal thing, I think, for me is, you know, a lot of people have the question of like, oh, I want to be able to like grow my psychic gifts or grow my intuition, or like we have this list of all of the clairs and all of the things. And same thing with the shamanic path and what I, you know, consider shamanic abilities. Is it's not something that some people have and some people don't, just like being psychic. It's just a natural ability of being human.
Yeah.
And some people come into the world already like attuned or really strong in some of those areas. And the way we actually grow those gifts is by having an experience of trusting them more.
I totally agree. Yes.
And and what happens for, so again, like you can also do this on your own. It usually takes longer and sometimes has like a little bit more of a rougher pathway to get there, I guess, so to speak. But ultimately, what we can do is tune in and respond and trust and take action from this place of trust. But we also need to give ourselves a long-term trajectory. So what can happen is we can want to test out to see, you want to test out our intuition and see, be like, oh, I feel this thing. What if I say it? What happens? And then we maybe do like 3, but on the third one, it was not right. And so we're like, ah, so you have to give yourself a long-term trajectory to actually like test it out and allow the belief to set in. And also this is something that I help facilitate through Shaman School. And also getting actual practice using your medicine. So a lot of people and programs sort of like teach you a tool and you maybe practice it once and they're like, okay, have fun. But you get to go deeper and deeper and deeper, holding yourself through some of your more, some of your sacred wounds, holding other people through their sacred wounds, actually having an experience of being, holding somebody through trauma and helping them, come out on the other side. So, but yeah, a little bit of a tangent, but it comes back to trusting yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I love that concept of giving them the space and the time to be able to really integrate and make this their own and hold that compassionate, graceful space for themselves and other people, obviously. But it's easy for other people once you can do it for yourself. So, but I love that. That's so beautiful. And it's so funny too, because that's exactly, I changed around I just doubled the length of my certification for the Akashic records for the exact same reason.
Yep.
Because it was more masculine at first. It was like, okay, here's all the modules. And then we meet each week and then you do your internship and we do your readings and we implemented that. And I wouldn't say it was too rushed maybe it was for some people, but what I found is I've doubled it so that they have that week in between to really integrate, to really internalize these lessons, to feel really confident. Because I just feel like that's part of the work. Like, we're not meant to integrate these ridiculously high frequency things in an instant and then just turn around and say, oh yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah. That's more our ego's desire, but that's not how we are meant to shift, because these are like deep changes, we're going to break the human if we do it too quickly. Less people can like get sick or just have symptoms because they're like, oh my gosh, so much is moving. And it's like, yeah, we don't want to break the human. Let's just take it easy. Yeah. Take it a step at a time. So that's beautiful. I'm so grateful that you're showing people this path and that they have an opportunity to get in touch with you. So how would you like them to connect with you? What's your favorite way of having people touch base?
Honestly, like just direct connection. I have forms and you can apply, and I have guides that you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. That's Holton Healing Arts. So regardless of that avenue, I like when people actually just send me a direct message on social media or email me. Right. I can, and you can find, if you go to my website, you can find more information. You can poke around a little bit. You can apply for Shaman School and we'll definitely get in touch that way. And if you're just kind of curious and want to get some questions answered, then send me a message.
Awesome. Yeah. And Mike is dropping the links now. So anybody who needs to grab those and connect with Katy Jo. And obviously we need to plug Sacred Medicine before we come up with this call. Guys, if you haven't purchased Sacred Medicine, we are both authors in that book, along with other very magical humans who are just bringing forward. It was just so funny because before Jen Pisano, who was the lead author, came to me about this, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do any more chapters. Like, I'm already writing my book, my own personal book. So I'm not going to do that. And so then she comes to me and I'm like, oh, Sacred Medicine. Oh, that's so up my alley. I have to do it. I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no. The energy was too aligned. The community is so beautiful. So I'm so grateful that we had this experience together.
Yeah.
All right, friends. So let us know if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and we'll be happy to answer. And we will see you on Monday of next week at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.